Jill, and it'll state on that it's for training purposes only.
Yeah.
And if you have that in your lab as a functional operational spec, you're in potential trouble.
Okay. Yeah, we circulated about 100 of them. Don't worry.
Ek
Right.
weet niks.
No, you didn't hear that. No, it's not been. It hasn't been recorded yet.
That red dot's on, Nico.
Right. Let me just welcome everybody. Barry, thanks for chairing this for us. For those who've connected, let me just put my camera on. You can also see me. Those who've connected, thanks for everybody who's connected. I haven't had time this morning to say hello to you all. This meeting will be recorded. We will take some notes. And once the recording is done, Anneke will send it out, and then you can check it. Once these things are recorded, we put them on YouTube. So you go to YouTube, you connect on YouTube, and you type in ASPASA, and you see all our recordings. There's a whole host of them that are there. So that's I'm going to cut now, and I'm handing over to Barry. Somebody is talking, but we'll mute them now. Barry, and then it's up to you. Sorry, guys, we've only got about 55 minutes. We've got another meeting at 11, but Barry promised that it will be short and sweet and quick over. Thank you very much, Barry, and I'm just cutting out.
Alrighty, right, morning everybody, and thanks for your attendance. Just very quickly a rundown on the agenda itself. Nico, I don't know if you're going to share the agenda, but there are just a couple of corrections on that. Item number 2 refers to non-collision meeting member code of conduct that just needs to be replaced with the technical committee. And then item 7 is mentioned twice. So that just needs to be corrected from a numbering perspective. And then the SANS 3001 videos, that item was dropped off the actual agenda as well. I think that just about covers it. Item 9, matters that need to be added to the agenda. That'll be covered under the initial section itself. Okay. Moving straight on then into the present agenda. Any additional points that you guys need to raise on the agenda as such? Right, so I'll take that as everyone's happy with what's there. And then with regards to the previous minutes, I assume that those would have been circulated by Anneke. Are there any changes or corrections that are need to be made from the record of the last minutes? Anybody willing to approve those minutes and second them for us? If no one's going to approve them or second them, I suppose that's going to have to be me saying that it's a good record of what's happened at the last meeting because I was there. Issues with regards to what was raised over the last minutes and carried over. The only item that was still outstanding that we had carried over was the balloting for the committee representation, being myself for SABS. Nico, has that gone through to Anna at SABS?
Barry, I signed it, sent it to you, and you said fine. Did you send it in? Because I sent it to you because you needed to sign still somewhere.
Yeah, I signed and returned it and used because you're the representative at the moment. No, you'll need to submit that to Anna. But I see it's for the concrete working committee.
Yeah, I don't know why she gets it wrong. Yeah.
Okay,
Clyde,
so
just check on. Cut your video, Mr. Colby.
Top right, coach.
Hello.
Yeah, how's it, coach? Don't you want to just cut your video? Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Don't you want to just cut your video feed?
Oh, yes.
There we go. Cool. Thanks, Coach.
Can you hear me? All right, thank you.
And then just mute yourself, and then we get no background noise.
All right.
Hundreds. Thanks, Wood.
Right.
Right. Okay, so that's the only item that's outstanding there, and between Nico and myself, we'll sort that out. That just means that ASPASA currently is not then still represented on the aggregates working committee and also the granular committee, which I think we need to just have a look at. With regards to item number 5, then discussion on the grading envelope for the materials. I don't think there's a lot that needs to be added to this. The new COTA document is going to be out shortly. We'll speak about that in a short while. So that matter, I think, largely has now been resolved. The gradings are as they are. I think the only issue that we sit with at the moment is the fact that some of the, I think it is GR 4B, 5B, 6 and downwards, I think that still needs to be revised in some of the test methods so that the material that is plus 37.5 is not scalped off. But that is going to take a while, and we've got to maybe have a look at a manner of getting around what is in the current test method for those types of materials so that we actually don't lose that coarse material, which is where all your strength actually lies. So that is going to be an ongoing issue in that regard. Be aware of the fact that the SAF schedule has been put out for training for this year, and there are quite a number of courses that are being presented on the new COTA specification. I've sat in on the one for chapters 3 and 4 or 4 and 5, which is the supply and construction of the layers. And I think for anybody in the quarrying environment that is supplying materials, especially when it comes to the G1s and G2 type materials, it's absolutely critical that you sit in on those particular courses and get a sense of what it is you're actually playing with. There are a number of changes, and it's a really good synopsis of where we're at. And I think one of the big things that we can take out of this that ASPASA members need to drive is the fact that there is an approval system in place for material before it is supplied to site, which ties into the ASPASA exclusion clauses. So that scenario has been written into it. Now, what we need to, from ASPASA's perspective, ensure occurs is that they actually apply that. They've really only written it up for borrow pits that are developed for particular contracts, but in the discussion that we had around that, it was agreed by the SANRAL members that were on that particular training course that it would be a good idea to have an abridged version of that for the commercial suppliers of material. So what it does, it gives you a leg into that particular operation, and then you need to conform. Obviously, you have already conformed to all the health and safety and environmental aspects that are legislated, and it's really now a matter of having something in place that allows you to have that material pre-approved before it goes to the road, because now you've got defense against the fact that this material was actually approved before it went there. So the contracting process lies on its own, and the supply process then lies on its own, which I think is a huge step forward. I think the more people that sit in on that course, who supply that material, who know about that, can actually ensure that it happens. Don't leave it to the engineers to do it, because they're new to this game as well. It's something that is critically important to us as ASPASA, and I think we need to be able to be on board to actually say, this is what needs to happen. The other thing that also needs to happen is before the contract starts, there needs to be a pre-meeting on material supply. And at that point, everybody involved in it, even those that are not contractually involved with the contractor and the engineer and the client, need to sit in on that meeting to agree how this is going to be done, agree on the fact that there's going to be a pre-approval, agree that the fact that they can't nail the consultant, the supplier, once this actually occurs. So those are the types of takeouts that I think are really important on that particular course. And as I said, I would strongly advise folk to go and sit on that and get a sense of what's going on. With regards to the implementation of COTA, any SANRAL contract that goes out for tender after the 1st of March is going to be on the new quota. In other words, from the 1st of April, giving them a 4-week period for the approval of that, any contract that is approved after the 1st of April is going to be based on the quota specification. There is a whole lot of work that they're trying to put out before that, which is going to cause a bit of confusion because it'll still be on the old quota, the old quota documents. But my feeling is I would almost be inclined to say we should try and start implementing some of the good points that are in quota in the old quota documents, such as that pre-approval process, because it's going to make life a lot easier for us. Are there any points on that aspect that anybody would like to raise? Alrighty. Moving then on to item 6, quality audits and the flyers. Unfortunately, at the last meeting, there was a lot of agreement to the fact that questionnaire would be beneficial, and that a number of the folks sitting on it said they would actually return them. It still has been a very poor response. So my feeling is we're going to can that questionnaire. We're just going to pretty much have to fly blind with regards to what you guys as ASPASA members have with regards to testing facilities at the various plants that you're on. I think what we need to be aware of is in this year, as you guys have got your health and safety and your environmental audits that are up and running very effectively at this particular point in time, the third one in that quiver of activities is the quality audits on the laboratory testing that is undertaken at your various facilities. Between myself and Frans Bieneke, myself being on the southwestern side of South Africa and France taking the northeastern side of South Africa, we have split the audits for that between those particular facilities. So expect calls from us in the near future with regards to looking at that activity taking place. We are going to try from a costing perspective to do it at a time when we are actually in that particular facility, in that particular area. So I will be giving calls to the guys that are maybe in the Eastern Cape in the near future, because I've got a couple of training activities that are taking place there, and see if we can't actually round up a couple of the quarries at the time when I'm up there to help keep the costs as low as possible. That would be the costing from my side with regards to travel. The fees are fixed in the same manner that the fees are fixed for the health and safety and environmental audits. So that costing is exactly the same. So you guys should be able to actually get a sense of what you're in for. It's a once-off audit per year. And then obviously the following year, we will come back and see how the developments have actually occurred. For anybody who's got queries on how those audits are going to take place, feel free to give me a call, and I'm more than happy to discuss those aspects with you. The document is available, so what we're going to audit against. It might be a little bit of a difficult document to understand, because it's pointers to the auditors to ensure that they cover all the aspects that are necessary in the quarrying environment. But I think it'll also give you a very good idea of what we need to have a look at to ensure that what we're putting out is actually acceptable from a testing perspective. And my feeling is what it allows you to do is to go to sleep at night and actually feel comfortable that your material that you are supplying is actually of the quality that you say it is. Are there any queries or questions that exist currently with regards to the quality audits that you would like to front at this particular meeting? Okay, I take it you're going to wait for the call and then happily accept us to come through and have a look at your laboratories. Point number 7, the material tester certification. That process is now gone through its trial run. We did that up at Afrimat in Worcester. Very interesting exercise. We had Mr. Moffat in from Western Cape Provincial Administration. He did the auditing of the individuals or the witnessing of the 5 staff members at that particular point. We also ran a theory assessment, which we did a couple of days after that, which is also another very interesting exercise. We need to do a little bit of a shake-up on how that process actually works and what the minimums are. But basically, what we're sitting with at the moment is, on the theory perspective, there is going to be a minimum, a sub-minimum of 60% to get access to the witnessing. And then for the witnessing, you need to obtain a minimum of 80% of the practical aspects of that particular test method. And as a joint mark between the theory and the practical, you need to obtain at least 75% to be able to be certified under 17024. That process is being run through the NLA, and we would consider that that would be pretty much ready to start rolling out. I would be inclined to think from the second quarter. I like to say the second quarter because the 1st of April has got all sorts of other connotations which I'd like to steer away from with regards to April Fools, etc. So into the second quarter, we're going to start advertising that this process can be up and running. It's approximately 3,000 Rand per individual to register for it, write the test, and undertake a single witnessing on the test methods that are applicable to you. If I can maybe just at the same time then just jump across into point number 8. Point number 8 has to do with the videos for 3001. An organization called ASPASA Production is developing the videos on 3001. The aggregate videos are available. We use them in the dummy run with Afrimat. They are a lot longer than the current videos that exist through Sabita, and the other ones that were developed by Cape Provincial University of Technology some time back, and they're obviously current to the 3001 test methods. The process that you would utilize for this is you would subscribe to those videos that will be made available online to the facilities that have paid for that subscription, and there will be an access code into it that we can then monitor who's actually on it, how long are they on it for, etc., etc. I think for the far-flung laboratories in the quarrying environment, it would be an ideal way of ensuring that those folk that are being utilized by you for the testing of your materials will have an opportunity to actually observe these at their leisure without taking them out of the lab environment. They can sit and watch it for the hour during the day when it's quiet. They can do it in shorter segments. They can watch the preparation. They can watch the physical test method. They can go back and watch the calculations as well to see if they're doing it actually correctly. Do revisions to their forms, and then there's also an interaction that they can have with myself to ask questions around of the points on the test method, what they're doing, what needs to be done correctly. So it's more a remote type training environment. If you want the guy to sit in on a physical training, that would happen after they've watched the videos and will allow them then to actually be physically witnessed and watched by myself to see that they're actually in line with what is required, and then have an interaction in that regard. So it's quite a different way of doing training. It's very much what I would consider to be now the new normal. The videos, as I said, are quite extensive. So if you look at something like a grading, that grading video for a washed grading granular material is going to takes close to an hour to watch. But then, as I said, it covers the whole bank shoot, and the guys can watch it in segments. They don't get overloaded in information, etc. So on that side of things, with regards to the certification and also to the videos, has anybody got any questions that they'd like fronted in that regard?
Barry, so Jeremy here. You
Yes,
said
hi,
those
Jeremy.
are very well, thanks. You said they are available and up and running at the moment.
Yes, they are. What you would need to do is make contact with either myself or Edward from BASO, and we would then just have a look at what your requirements are, which test methods you're looking for, and then just agree on a subscription, how long you want it for. You want it for a month, you want it for 3 months, you want it for the year, and then we take it from there.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Any other questions from the floor?
Barry, maybe
Nico.
it's maybe put that information that Jeremy just asked you. Maybe we should just put that in the notes. We'll send out notes
Yes.
and in the link, but maybe just so guys can contact whoever they have to contact, and they've got the
Yes.
email and everything. Otherwise, they ask me and then I don't know. Okay, thanks, Barry.
Cool. Yeah, no, we absolutely put that in the minutes as well with the contact details, emails, and cell numbers. The videos currently that are out are all the aggregate videos, which I think is your main supply from the, well, it's the base methods that you're going to utilize from the ASPASA side. The next one we're looking at is going to be concrete to go out, and then very closely followed by the granular methods. The granular methods do cover as well modern CBR, which are normally beyond the scope of what the quarries would have a look at doing. And as a result of that, we might well revise what is required for the quarries under the certification process. But that is something that we'll have a look at site for site. The reason why it was included is because they are relatively important test methods that have bearings on the quality of the material that you're supplying. And it also allows the person who's physically doing the testing in a laboratory to understand a slightly broader aspect of what is required with regards to the material supply that is occurring. With regards to the point number 9, just moving on from there, the quality technical reports. The last one went out, that is available on the ASPASA website for those guys who would like to have a look at it. It does detail which test methods are currently available from SABS. It also discusses some of the other issues around where we're at with SABS. It talks about the videos, it talks about the training, it talks about the certification. So have a look at that. And I think my contact details are on that quarterly meeting as well. The next one will come out a little bit later into this year, possibly early in the second quarter. So it'll be sometime in April. An overview of where we're at, and hopefully that will give you some positivity around the fact that we are now open for certification processes, and we can have a look at where we're at with that. Moving on from there onto the documentation that is still currently under review. SABS, there is a meeting on Friday with them. I sit on all 4 of the committees for civil materials. And they are seemingly getting the act in place. I reviewed about 7 or 8 of the asphalt methods that are under review at the moment. So hopefully those are going to be coming out in their revised form in the near future. Obviously not applicable to ASPASA. But the meeting on Friday, I think, is going to be a little bit of a watershed where we get a sense of where they're at and how quickly they're able to start sorting out the issues that they've got. The technical writer that we used did have COVID during COVID itself, but he's now back up and running. So hopefully things are going to be smoother than what they've been in the past. With regards to 1083, that method, or that standard is going to be, in fact, it's a specification, is under review. Nothing much happened during last year, and I would imagine that with COTA now largely being out of sorted and published, there's going to be quite a large emphasis on that, because the COTA document does refer to 1083, and 1083 will now be covering all aggregate material, not just the aggregate material for concrete. On the COTA side of things, as I said, that document is available on the NRA's website. That's SANRAL. And I think I must also include a link for that document so you can find it on the website. It is freely downloadable. It's quite a large document. And as I said, just remember back into that training side of things with SAF, particularly chapters 4 and 5. I think those are the critical ones that ASPASA needs to sit in on and get a sense of what is their defense. If you look at it from the negative perspective, what is the positive thing that you can take out of it from chapter 4, and understand how they deal with it from a construction chapter or from a construction perspective, because that is, I think, important, that you know both sides of that story, that when you sit in on a dispute scenario with regards to the quality of the material you supplied, you actually understand what you can say from a legal perspective with regards to the COTA document. With regards to TMH5, I have been through that document extensively from a review perspective. There are a couple of issues that I've raised around it. There is a revision to, or a number of revisions we've proposed to the actual apparatus of the rifflers, not overly onerous, and generic enough that a range of different suppliers can supply what we're looking for to ensure that you get as good a split as possible. Obviously, from the apparatus perspective, the individuals that are using it, obviously that is a training issue, and hopefully that document will be published in the near future. It will be published through Sabita, so it's not going to be a paid-for document at this particular point in time, which I think is hugely beneficial. Unfortunately, just jumping back to the SABS scenarios, all of those test methods are payable through the SABS. If you are looking at buying and you are a fairly large organization and you need a number of copies, just give me a call beforehand to make sure that you're using the best strategy to get it. In other words, ask for a subscription rather, because it allows you to buy them with a number of copies attached to that subscription rather than buying one off, because that works out a lot more expensive. Any questions or queries with regards to where we're at with the document reviews? If I can maybe also then just say, just remember that SANS 3001 has been written into the new COTA document. So from the 1st of April, all the testing on the SANROL contracts will require you to test under 3001, which is bound by the specification. Currently, you've got COTA with a project spec that says you'll test according to 3001. So just bear in mind that anybody who's testing on the old TMH1 methods for gradings and flakiness and ALDs, etc., that is out as of the 1st of April. Just one last chance. Any comments on where we're at with that? Okay, just with regards to then item number 11, that is the visits and the talks on technicians and universities. I had a chat to Zane from SANROL just before this one. He submitted his apologies. He's got a clash with a couple of other meetings as well. The visits currently are not on. There's far too much red tape that needs to be covered between the three parties that are involved in the actual structure itself, that is the University of Pretoria and CSR, obviously with the input from SANROL. So getting people on site at the moment, even if they're testing in the laboratory, is actually quite an onerous task. So currently there's nothing in place. There's huge requests from both industry and industry's bodies like this one to get access into that laboratory and see what's going on. All the equipment has been delivered, all the equipment has been commissioned, but there are obviously now the logistics of getting it up and running and functioning, which is maybe going to take them a little bit of time to get that sorted out. So let's just leave that on the back burner. I would be inclined to think, if anything, it's going to happen much later in 2021, possibly even 2022. Once they're actually up and running and all their systems in place and they've got that thing sorted with a smooth running process. Virtual tours are obviously a possibility, but even that is quite time consuming to get together. And I think it might be a lot better once we've got the opportunity to get into the facility and physically see what they've got. I think that would be a lot more beneficial. That's fine. All right. The only other two items that we've got left over then, getting through this meeting at a proper rate of knots. Dates for other meetings, conferences, and industry forums. There's the full list of meetings have been published by ASPASA, so I'm pretty sure you guys are all aware of when those regional meetings take place for yourselves. I'm proposing that for those regions in the northeast, France Bienica sits in, should there be any queries with regards to the technical audits and the use of the videos. And by the same token, down southwestern side of things, that would be myself who would sit in on those regional meetings to front any queries around those. On the Math Civils side of things, that's the Material Testers Committee through the NLA. The first meeting is up on the 4th of March, which is in a couple of weeks' time. And then a second one on the 8th of July and the 9th of November. And then the conference, the NLA's conference, is going to be held later in this year up in KZN. That is still a tentative date and a tentative arrangement. If the restrictions stay in place, it might be more an online type conference, but we'll see where we are. Maybe a little bit close to the time. We'll need to very possibly make that decision about 6 months beforehand to ensure that we can secure facility. The ASPASA conferences and the other linked conferences, Nico, will you be able to give dates for those to include in the minutes?
Barry, yes, there's a whole lot of conferences and workshops, and then also I'll include the Road Pavement Forum is going to have a meeting soon. I can't remember the date now, but it will also be a virtual meeting. So we will ask ASPASA people to join there. It's quite a crucial one, that Road Pavement Forum.
Yeah, that was the next meeting conference industry forum was the RPF. I've just got it here as in my notes as to be advised. So yes, it is going to be coming up, and as I said, those are really important meetings, worthwhile ones to actually sit in and get a sense of where we're at with the industry. The RPF isn't in the same format as it used to be. Obviously, it is virtual, but they're a lot smaller, so there's smaller segments of it, maybe 2 to 3 hours, and that I think is a worthwhile one to sit in on. Nico, from my side, that is it, unless there are any aspects that need to be raised by people on the floor from a general perspective. So I think we've actually done exceptionally well in getting through all of that as quickly as you can. I think the two main things that I'd like you guys to take away with from this particular meeting is obviously to expect calls from either France or myself with regards to the assistance in auditing your facilities and giving you an idea of what needs to be done or revised. And also by the same token to pat you on the back where it's been done well. And then the second thing is obviously the use of the videos. I think the videos will tie into that because it'll allow the people that are doing the testing in your facilities to get a sense of what should be being done, and then to do any corrections in-house with you or for you before the actual audit takes place. So from my side, that's it. Any points from the floor?
Thanks, Barry. I think it was short and sweet, and it's great to have all that information shared with our members. Great, well done. And sorry that I told you it was an hour. I didn't know you were going to cut an hour. Now we've got an important meeting now for those who are still in. We're discussing the Royalty Act and how it's going to affect our industry, and it's quite scary because if SARS decides to start asking for money, we've got a problem. So we're having a huge meeting after this one at 11. If you want to join anybody, send an email to office@ASPASA and ask for the link, Barry, and then we'll wait for your report, and then we have scheduled a second meeting for later in the year. And if you want any more in between, we'll do so. And thanks for everybody else who connected. Thanks, guys. It's working well. Thanks.
Yeah, Nico, I think the if we have an official launch for those videos a little bit later in the year, heading into the second quarter, I think maybe we'll call a special meeting for that. And also with the certification, when that's up and running, I think we might even put those two together and do a launch on both of those so the guys get a sense of what's what and all the rest. So yeah.
That will be great. Now you just advise and then we'll set it up.
Perfect. Coach, I see you got a query.
Not so much. Good morning, Barry. Thank you again. Not so much a query, Barry. Maybe with the new assignment that I've just been given here to chair MTC committee.
Yes.
I will try to get back to you on the item number 5, number 8, and number 11, and then so that I can get, or even number 10. so that I can get the gist of it, and then I can take it from there in terms of maybe allocating meetings and reporting back. But I'll definitely get back to you on those items.
Perfect.
But thanks
Coach,
for the meeting. Sorry for joining very late.
Cool. No problem at all, Coach. Yeah, thanks very much for that, and congratulations on that position. I think you're going to do a sterling job there. And yes, if you could maybe be that link with regards to the material testing committee, etc., through that's not so much through SANROL, but that type of input during these meetings will be highly appreciated.
All right, thank you.
Any other points? Just remember to drop your hand there, Coach.
Yes. I'm trying to remove it. I don't know how to remove it.
Just click it again. Click the hand again. It should drop away. Okay, don't worry. I know it's not another question.
All right.
Okay. Hey, all these modern technology things. We'll get there eventually. All right.
All right, thanks.
Cool. Nico, yes, that's me done for the day. Thanks everyone for attending. We'll take the attendance from the people that have actually logged on. Nico, I believe there's a method by which we can actually get record of who signed in. So that would be the attendance, and then the only person I got apologies from was Zane.
Thanks, Barry. Thanks to Annika for doing the recording, and we'll send out a small note and then give the link. Thanks, and go well for the rest of the week.
Cool. Thanks very much, guys. Have a good day.